Hey guys, my name is Steve with Pacific Lawn Sprinklers, and in this video here, I'm just giving you guys a little bit of insight to what one of our in-house training videos look like. We do a lot of training with our guys. We do on-site field training, we do classroom training, and then of course we have a bunch of different videos that all the guys could watch. Of course, the best training's in the field, but this is just a little sample of something we put together, an older video for our techs to teach them different things that we have in our system to sell when they're out in the field. Okay guys, 7 a.m. 7 a.m. is the time of our first appointment. You should arrive right on time in your uniform with your clean truck. Ring the doorbell at exactly 7 a.m., have a big smile on, and introduce yourself. And of course, very important, if you're entering the house, always put on shoe covers. And before doing any work, make sure you check your tablet for important info and pricing. So let's talk about spring startups. Of course, you're going to pressurize the system and check the water meter for any leaks. After that, you're going to go through every single head on the system, making proper adjustments to make sure everything's covering and working properly. Be sure to check all components such as valve boxes, wiring, rain sensors, and controllers. After you run through the system, of course, you're going to program the controller. Now, service calls are a little different. During a service call, you're not really going to go through the entire system. You're really there for a particular problem, such as a leak or a valve or something that the customer specifically wants fixed. Okay, so before I take you guys into the actual repairs, here are a few things that we'll charge extra for. You have to work where there's a lot of rocks or a lot of roots or in a hard-to-reach place such as inside a bush, or anything that requires extra tools such as an axe or sawzall. Keep in mind, this is not included in our regular pricing and you must charge extra labor. Alright, so in this first segment, I'm going to take you guys through some of the smaller, more typical repairs that you're going to run to on most houses that you go to. Some of the smaller repairs that don't actually cost as much are actually more profitable to you and your business on a day-to-day basis and in the long run. They're what you guys really want to be looking for consistently in order to generate as much profit as you can. You should be checking every single timer to make sure the battery pack is fresh and updated every year. So this is one of the best things that you can sell, resetting heads. So if a head is crooked or sticking up above the ground, you must set it properly. So dig it up, get in there, reset the swing joint, pack it down properly, close it up nicely, and retest the head so it sprays properly. So again, you want to check every single head on the property. If there's a head like this spraying directly into a bush, you need to get in and use a 6-inch, 12-inch, or maybe even a 24-inch riser to raise the head up above the shrub so it can spray out and onto all the plants properly. And if you see any heads that just aren't needed anymore, suggest to the customer that you cap it off and get rid of it so that they're not wasting any water. You can also cap off any lines that aren't needed. Alright, so in this segment, I'm going to take you guys, of course, through some of the most common stuff sold, heads and nozzles. Okay guys, clogged nozzles is one of the biggest things you're going to run into. Don't just try and clean out the nozzle and filter. Generally, that doesn't work. You want to get in there and flush it out and replace it with a new filter and new nozzle and test everything to make sure it works properly. You can also replace nozzles inside of rotary heads if you need to get more or less water to an area. Check for any spray heads where you can change out the nozzle for more efficient watering using rotating or multi-stream nozzles such as MP rotators or Rainbird rotating nozzles. We have line items for both 4-inch and 12-inch rotary heads. Dig up the head, reset the swing joint, and make the proper adjustments. If you need to replace spray heads, whether it's a 4-inch head, 6-inch head, or 12-inch head, we have all these in the price book. Get in there, reset the swing joint, set the head firmly in the ground, flush it out, install your nozzle and filter, and adjust it for proper coverage. Alright, so in this segment I'm going to take you guys through installing piping and piping repairs. Please keep in mind that, especially for this kind of stuff, this is where you might need to charge extra if you're running into rocks, roots, or anything that's really going to take a lot more digging or a lot more work. Okay guys, we're there to get the system working properly. So if you see any heads that are spraying into a bush like this, or just not covering areas properly, you want to suggest a relocation. So measure out the length of footage that you'll need, Dig open your trench or wiggle, and relocate the head using poly pipe or funny pipe. We even have line items for PVC pipe per foot. So for a basic poly connection, you're going to use this line item. This is more of a simple connection where you really just need a coupler or an elbow or a simple fitting and a couple clamps. It doesn't really count for a more advanced repair. For more advanced repairs where you need to use a T or a head T or make multiple cuts or multiple connections, you want to use a more advanced connection. Sometimes you could even charge for multiple connections if it's really hard. So PVC connections generally take a little bit longer than poly. For PVC, I'd recommend using the advanced sectional connection. Since there's more time with priming, gluing, and waiting for the glue to dry, you need to make sure you're getting paid for this kind of work. And of course, there'll be times where you don't really have much room to make a connection, and you need to use a telescopic fitting. We have a separate line item for this, and you should make sure you choose it anytime you break out a telescopic fitting.
All right, so here's another segment. Now we're going to go into valve replacements and solenoids.
So this line item includes everything you need to change out a valve. Please keep in mind, if the valve is really hard to change or in a difficult spot, you may need to charge additional labor. So you don't always need to change the full valve. Sometimes it's more of an electrical issue. So after you troubleshoot it, you may discover that it's the solenoid. So included in the solenoid line item is the troubleshooting you need and the splices to get it wired into the system.
All right, so now we're going to review drip irrigation.
For a broken drip line, cut out the bad section, make your connection, and test it to make sure everything's working properly. Any areas where you need to extend your drip pipe, you should use this line item. Remember, it's per foot and includes all the fittings and staples that you need. The drip emitter line item includes the emitters and about 10 to 15 feet of spaghetti pipe needed to run your line. And this is something you should be checking on every system that has drip. Every year you should be looking to replace the filters, so make sure you're carrying all the filters needed on your truck.
All right, so now we're going to go into some plumbing repairs such as backflows, copper repairs, or brass ball valves.
So you don't always need to replace the entire backflow. We have line items for all the different internal kits needed in PVBs, DCVs, or RPZs. So make sure you carry them on your truck and swap them out as needed. In cases where you can't replace the internals and you need to replace the entire backflow, again, we have line items for everything that you need. The backflow connection really is for a basic connection and doesn't include any crazy copper connections or more PVC connections that you need to make. And of course, we also have line items for DCVs and RPZ replacements. So we have all different sized line items when it comes to repairing broken copper pipes. We have 1/2 inch, 3/4, 1 inch, and even sizes greater than that. To repair a copper break, what's included in this line item is generally 2 or 3 feet worth of pipe. It includes all the cleanup of the pipe that you need, the soldering, and the testing. Of course, you can also use shark bite fittings and use the same line item. So same concept applies to brass ball valves. Both the soldering method or even the shark bite method are both included in this line item.
All right, so now we're going to go into some electrical repairs that you'll run into in the field.
So whether you're replacing a rain sensor or you're adding a rain sensor to a system that might not have one, we have line items for wired sensors and wireless. So the wire splice line item generally includes splicing the entire wire together. So sometimes there's 3, 6, or even 10 wires in a splice. We consider that one wire splice. And if you're extending a wire, remember to price it per foot. Anytime you need to break out a wire locator, you need to get paid for this. We have a flat charge for use of a wire locator. Just keep in mind, if it's really hard to find a valve box or trace a wire, you may need to charge for additional labor. So we never leave a property dirty. Make sure to rake up any areas that you worked and clean up all garbage. Sweep up any sidewalks or driveways or anywhere that you got any dirt or mud. If you really ripped up any areas, carry a bag of seed with you and throw it down before you leave.
All right, guys, thank you for watching. And please keep in mind, what I showed you here is really just the common repairs. We have line items and prices for pretty much anything you can imagine for irrigation. And if we're missing anything, please feel free to let us know. If you have any questions as you're moving through your service in the field or anything like that, feel free to reach out to me or the franchise team, and we'll get you your questions answered and we'll get you on the right track. Thank you guys for watching.